Good afternoon. Again, you're here with Christoper Stinnett with Foresight Property Inspections. Right now, what I've got for you is we're going to take a look at an electrical panel. This home was built in 1986, and it's an original panel. There's some good things about this panel, but there's some very important things in safety defects that we really want to cover, and we're going to go over some of that with you right now. So with this panel, what we see is we got a single phase, typical residential single phase panel. Here's our main breaker. It's a 150 amp service. We can see that right here on the breaker. Our breakers do not appear to be original. These actually appear to be new. So we've obviously had some work done on this panel at some time, and we've even upgraded to combination arc fault protection. So when we're looking down here at this dead face that you would usually see in your panel, this is where your breakers are labeled. And based off of that, we've got some outside lights, the kitchen, and then we got our lights. So it looks like our branch circuits, which would typically be per current standards, arc fault protected. So someone has upgraded that. And you'll notice, so people ask, what is arc fault protection? What is GFCI protection? In this case, we have arc fault, combination arc fault breakers. And here's our test button. So monthly, you come out and you test these. And if you hit the test button and they trip, then we know that based off of the breaker itself that it's functioning. You can go back inside and see if you've got power to confirm that. So, and to turn it back on, you want to turn these back into the off position and then turn them back on, and that'll reset the breakers, and then you got your protection. The arc fault protection is if you've got an appliance of some sort or anything, let's say it's got a frayed cord on it and one of the wires is loose, you got some arcing. This has caused fires in the past. What these breakers do is they actually detect that arc, and they can actually shut down the circuit. Now sometimes when these go bad, if you've used appliances regularly on a regular basis and it's never had a problem and then they start to trip, you could have one going bad. But if it's just out of nowhere, it's worth checking the appliances and its cords and stuff on that circuit and have things checked out to make sure that everything's safe, or if some repairs are needed. These are very cool safety features. Combination arc fault means that it can detect a fault between your HOTS, your current carrying conductor, or an arc between your current carrying conductor and your neutral, which is your current carrying ground. So these are cool features. That's how you test them, and that's just a little bit of information of what they are. So that's something that we look at also when we're looking at these panels. You know, the state requires us to mention any aluminum wiring. So solid aluminum branch circuit wiring. There's two different kinds. You got your Series 1350, which from about the mid-60s to about the 1972, that 1350 was in place. This stuff turned out to be it turned out to be not so good. It expanded a lot. It was brittle, easily breakable. The expansion causes loose connections, which led to a lot of fires. In 1972, they actually upgraded that to the AA8000 series, which was a much better product. Here, it was 1986. This is pretty much copper. We do have some solid 10 gauge, but this has been deemed acceptable, 10 gauge and above, but 10 gauge solid. Everything else that you're going to see aluminum, typically above that, is all going to be a stranded aluminum, which is still used today and perfectly fine. So the wiring in this looks pretty normal. We look up here, we want to make sure that we don't have neutrals, more than one neutral in a lug, or sharing with a ground or another neutral. This is a good thing. Pretty much every panel manufacturer, as far back as I have been able to look, has never allowed the doubling up of a neutral under a lug with a neutral or ground. You can have two grounds, maybe even more under a lug, but not your neutrals. So we look for those items as well. I have seen cases where they have overheated or there's been a problem, and it could have been just another problem on another circuit, but the neutrals together for whatever reason are causing a problem. So they don't allow that. You'll also notice that there are wire nuts. I'm often asked, you know, there's wire nuts. Can we have wire nuts in the panel like that? Is that safe? Is that okay? That is perfectly safe. As a matter of fact, if you have wires that are short, like you can see this one's a little tight right here, and you know, you could pull that off, have a longer piece and use a wire nut, and that'd be perfectly fine. This is perfectly acceptable, and it would be nothing I'd call out. But we do have a major problem. This has been getting a lot of water from an irrigation system. So we can see the rusting that's been happening here on this face. We see the rusting happening in the box. So this box, this electrical panel is going to continue to deteriorate and erode, and it's going to need replacement soon. But that moisture has also caused some more safety features. And when we're looking here, if you look here, we've actually got some grounds of a major appliance. Looking at this one, I was able to identify this back to the AC ground. So at this point, we have lost the ground connection, the equipment ground for our AC equipment. And we can see this stuff is really loose, really brittle. This was laying in the bottom. So this needs some immediate attention by an electrician to make sure that we get these things repaired and reconnected for their grounds for safety. So whenever, you know, it's always good to have things checked. You should get an inspection on your home roughly, you know, at least every couple of years. Some will say annually, some will say every few years, but you know, every 2 years is about in the middle, and that's fair. However, some components such as roofs, you know, your AC twice a year, roof once a year, there's all these components should have regular inspection and maintenance. If you're ever curious, you can always give us a call. Or go to our website and reach us. Phone number is 480-694-7199, and we'd be happy to help you understand when things should be maintained. We also do maintenance inspections as well to help you understand the condition of your home. That way you can take care of it properly. Thank you.